Welcome to Sports News. Chinedu Obasi, Joel Obi and Amatsone Aluko are set to make a return to the Super Eagles after they were called up for next month's 2015 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. The trio, who've been out of the setup for close to a year, are part of the 23-man squad released by the Nigeria Football Federation. Vincent Inyama, John Mikel Obi, Ogenyi Onazi and Emmanuel Emenike are some of the familiar faces on the list. Chigozie Agbem leads the crop of Nigeria-based players that includes Azubike Egwekwe, Kunle Odunlami, Bolan Salami and Igodaro Osagwona. The African champions face Congo in Calabar on September the 6th and South Africa in Cape Town 4 days later. Meanwhile, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has explained that the World Health Organization does not recommend travel to and from Ebola-affected countries. CAF affirmed that position following advice from the WHO, which provided guidance on attitudes the Continental Soccer Governing Body would observe in the management of CAF competitions scheduled to take place in countries affected by the epidemic. CAF advised member associations to undertake Ebola screening protocols at departure and arrival points and directed Liberia, Guinea and Sierra Leone to organize their African Cup of Nations qualifying matches on neutral territory based on recommendations of WHO. Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone and Nigeria have been under close watch since the emergence of the deadly virus. In Europe, English Premier League side Arsenal fought out a goalless draw with Turkish giants Beşiktaş in the first leg of their Champions League playoff tie. Both sides squandered goal-scoring opportunities in the game, which also saw Arsenal's Aaron Ramsey sent off in the 79th minute. Elsewhere, Danish team FC Copenhagen lost 2-3 at home to German club Bayer Leverkusen, while Rafael Benitez's Napoli were forced to a 1-1 draw by Athletic Bilbao. Austria's Red Bull Strasbourg defeated their Swedish counterparts Malmo 2-0, while Steaua Bucharest of Romania played a goalless draw with Ludogorets Razgrad. In golf, world #1 player Rory McIlroy has described Tiger Woods as a phenomenon. The Northern Irishman and Woods made an appearance at the Jimmy Fallon show to demonstrate their skills. McIlroy bested Fallon in a quick skills competition as the injured Woods acted as a caddy and coach for Fallon. The 25-year-old will lead the Europe team in defense of the Ryder Cup next month at Gleneagles in Scotland. That's it on Sports News. Back to Joma with the rest of the news at 10.
On the foreign scene now, Israel's Prime Minister has ordered its military to launch strikes on the Gaza Strip following fresh rocket fire from militants there. One Israeli official went as far as saying that terror sites would be targeted in response to Hamas's violation of the truce. Here's Cynthia Are with more.
Well, that's the case, and this comes after a 5-day ceasefire was extended for 24 hours last night, while teams from both sides tried to negotiate a deal to end weeks of fighting. More than 2,000 people have been killed since the 8th of July. Then, despite the president's appeal to protesters yesterday to stop the violence regarding the murder of a black teenager in Missouri, the U.S. police say they have arrested 31 people during another night of angry protests. Unrest fled hours after President Obama called for calm following the fatal police shooting of unarmed black teenager Michael Brown on the 9th of August.
And I'm telling you, we're going to make this neighborhood whole. We are going to make this community whole, and we're going to do it together. And I am not going to let the criminals that have come out here from across this country or live in this community define this neighborhood and define what we're going to do to make it right.
And the United Nations Agency for Refugees is launching a major aid operation to reach more than 500,000 people still displaced by fighting in northern Iraq. Tents and other goods will be sent to the Kurdish city of Erbil via air, road and sea. Meanwhile, the strategically important Mosul Dam says Kurdish and Iraqi forces have retaken it from the Islamic State militants. And those are the top stories on the foreign scene.
Thanks a lot, Cynthia. And the main news again. The most senior doctor who participated in the management of the index patient of the Ebola virus in Lagos has died. The Minister of Health, Professor Onyebuchi-Chukwu, said that Dr. Ameyo Stella Adadevo, a senior consultant physician and endocrinologist with First Consultant Medical Center in Lagos, died this evening. The United States government has commended Nigeria for what it calls good management of the Ebola virus disease. The U.S. Consul General Jeffrey Hawkins confirmed that Nigeria's efforts were complemented by international health experts from the United States Center for Disease Control. And the federal government has denied reports that over 600,000 people have been displaced in the northeast of the country. Instead, the Minister of Interior, Abba Moro, insisted that while violence continued, the number of displaced persons could not be determined. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Focus on Africa is up next. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Good night.